it is my pleasure to invite here with me on stage Didier Rossi, Head of HR at FIBA, the International Basketball Federation. Please take a seat. Rebecca Oldham, Talent Acquisition Senior Recruiter at adidas. Welcome. And Tim Palmer, Executive Recruiter at IMG. Oh, you're being brave, jumping over the stairs. Moderating this session will be Gautier, Vasseur, Partner at Pedersen at Partners. Please take the stage.
Does that work? Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, sounds great. All right, so thank you everyone. Today, so we have like 3 people that are representing, the major organizations in the sports industry, FIBA, Adidas, and IMG. And me, I wanted to discuss with them what are the new expertise that they are looking for now to start their organizations. And if you have time, I would like to speak with them as well about diversity and the way they are sourcing talents right now. I know there is a topic I will start with that can be a bit controversial, but sports organizations are becoming now global brands, and they need to compete as a global brands. So they are revolutionized by all the Internet of Things and digitalizations, etc. And I wanted to understand in your organization, what kind of new expertise do you need to drive actually this transformation? Maybe I will start with Adidas actually and with Rebecca.
Probably a great question at the moment. So we're going through a huge digital transformation, and if anyone knows much around digital brand commerce and obviously what we're doing over at Adidas, e-com is our focus. We've built a brand new organization over the last couple of years. We have hired, I think, over 400 headcount last year for digital alone. For us at the moment, and understanding digital, actually it's transcending just our e-com platforms. What we're looking at now is the digitalization of supply chain and product and how we're creating that product. But from a skill set perspective, actually what we're looking at more and more is that agile mindset. So if any of you guys know about kind of the Scrum methodology, things like that, we're not only just using that within our digital organization, but actually even in talent acquisition as well. Understanding how to move a business quickly with the digital tools is fundamental for us. So hiring a ton of people with agile experience is the big one for us at the moment. But obviously those hard skills as well. So SQL querying, Python, our development languages, which are super tricky to find. But it's meaning we're having to recruit from very different areas at the moment and look a little bit wider than what we've done previously.
Tim, any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo that actually in terms of, I think there's a very fine line now between the sports industry and the wider entertainment industry, or even the kind of the tech industries as well. And I think tech is obviously very important for us, and all the kind of new platforms that are being developed, and sport is being consumed upon. And I think so for us, it's a lot of it is around understanding, the gaming side of what people are doing, the OTT side, how they're streaming, the social stuff as well. I think we are getting much, much better as an organization digitally as well. And I think understanding that kind of the social aspects, especially around marketing and consumer marketing and the commercial aspects as well, are very, very key. But I think we're playing or recruiting in different fields now to sort of to echo your point there in terms of, actually it's entertainment as a whole, and actually industries and sports industries are also kind of, if someone's going to go to a gig or go and watch a live event, that's how they spend their money is becoming more challenging, I think. So actually that impacts on how we recruit, and consumer marketing is a great example. So when we hire consumer marketing people now, which is all about kind of selling tickets and that sort of thing, we're not necessarily just looking in sport, we're looking much, much wider afield in terms of how we hire people.
And Didier, what about you? How does that resonate for an organization like FIBA?
I don't know if we're looking for, if our prime focus is really on technical skills or this kind of things, because that can be built really. What we're looking for is well-rounded business managers, especially people who are prone to change. So people who are who have resilience, who are able to manage change on an everyday basis. We're talking a lot about VUCA world, but VUCA world is also present in the world of sport. So we need really to have people who have a sound base, and that's why the schools that we will see today are very important, because I think this kind of schools give them a sound business management base, and that's what we want really. Then obviously, yes, digital is becoming very important has been important for several years already, because our objective as a federation is to build our fan base, and obviously fans, we reach them nowadays through the digital world. So this is also very important. But my strong belief is that I prefer to have a well-rounded manager who can handle really business questions, and then technical skills. We have lots of learning and development opportunities in FIBA, so we can train them on these technical skills.
I would just say as well on that, and I completely kind of agree with that, and I'm not saying as well it's all about digital for us. I mean, we always still have our kind of very core stuff. I mean, sponsorship for us is a huge thing still, and we're still always looking for kind of good, hungry commercial sponsorship people to kind of work alongside us as well. But I would also agree with that point. Digital is the future, but it's already here. But it's just how that's evolving as well, and the kind of the new aspects within that digital space, such as the streaming piece, the OTT, that sort of side of things.
And I noticed the sports organizations, the way they are organized, the way they structure themselves is evolving a lot and getting flatter and flatter and very transversal. So now they need talents that are able to work in teams and to integrate into plurifunctional and multicultural teams. So it means you need to have people with a technology finance background able to speak with retail and my experience is that to have these people integrate in this organization, it's very important that there is both what we call soft skills, a shared purpose, shared values, extra, so that people can work together. They have a common language. How do you see that in your organization? And is it important actually when you recruit to assess these soft skills?
I'll take that one first. At Adidas, we live through 3 core competencies. If anyone's visited our career website, I hope you've seen the 3 C's. So confidence, collaboration, and creativity. It doesn't matter what function you join us in at Adidas. For us, it's important that those soft skills remain, because I think as our organisation, and of course we are a sports organisation, but we're also a retailer. So that stakeholder management piece, interacting with markets, really understanding the business side and how to integrate that from HQ to markets, from markets to our consumer is key. So those really great soft skills, so stakeholder management, dealing with ambiguity, being able to work in a very fast-paced environment with completely international and diverse personalities is absolutely key for us. HQ alone in Germany, we have 78 nationalities working on campus. So whoever's joining us needs to be very, very open-minded, very well-rounded when it comes to those communication skills and drive things through. But the entire organisation is run around these 3 C's competencies, and that's how we assess our talent.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, so much of it is about relationship management, isn't it? I think it's like, ultimately in what we do day in, day out, we're all trying to take something from A to B in some way, shape or form, but it's how you communicate with people, how you build those relationships and develop those relationships, whether you be in finance or within IT or within sales or within marketing. So yeah, I think the kind of, and again, it's a common thread. I think you kind of look at people that fit your organisation culturally, who you think share those kind of values, which is about respect and communication and building that relationship.
Yeah, it's very similar for us. Obviously, we are a team sport, basketball, so we want team players, and that's very important. We are very international also because we are present on the 5 continents, so lots of nationalities around also. Next World Cup is going to be in China, so big cultural shock, I would say, but we need to have people who are ready for that, who are really open-minded and who are ready to work. I mean, the first day I was at FIBA, I spoke 5 languages the same day, so we need multi-language people also, but not only speaking the language, really understanding the difference in culture also, that is very important.
Yeah, if I can share an advice, with people that are applying to jobs, I think our companies and employers now, they are they care less about what you know than why you want to work with them. And it's important you're able to, articulate what you believe, what are your values, what is your professional purpose, and you will engage a lot faster with potential recruiters than, telling them what you can do. Let me switch on a big topic now in the global corporations, diversity. Diversity is very, very high in the agenda of all the multinationals. It's actually like CEO level topic now. In the sports industry, we hear that diversity is a bit more complex too. So I was curious to hear from you, Didier, first. How did you tackle that issue within the FIBA, and then ask your Revenue team?
How to tackle it is not an easy question or an easy answer. What I found out, I came from a big multinational who has been working on diversity for many, many years, and still they had a glass ceiling at some point. And I found exactly the same situation in FIBA. So we are very good at recruiting level. We have about 50% women in terms of gender diversity. When we go higher up to the management level, probably it's 40-60, so it's still good. But when we get to director level or board members, then we're not looking good. Okay. And I think the reasons, we talked it a bit yesterday, are general. I think it's not linked to a company or another. It's linked to different factors. First of all, way of life of the cultures we have now. In our cultures, the women are still the ones who stay at home when they have kids. So they get married, they have kids, and generally they stay at home. And then we need to help them go back to work. And that's something that we need really to pay attention to. Tell them that the job is there for them. When they want to come back, they will be welcome, especially if they were good performers, obviously. And that will make sure that they can go back, not lose the link with the company, and go back in a safe environment when they're ready to come back. What we find out also is that, and it's a typical trait, again, I'm making generalities now, not everyone is like that, but generally, a man would boast his skills, kind of, and would say, I'm ready for the job, and he would put himself forward quite easily. Whereas women, who might be much more competent, would sometimes have a difficulty to put themselves forward. So we need to help them also track the skills, track the competencies of the women, and help them step forward when there is an opportunity. So I think there is not a golden bullet to fix this issue, but we need to be very attentive to this and help the women who have the right skills and competency to grow through the organization. I'm strongly against quotas. At some point in time, we're saying we need to put quotas to reach a fair level, but quotas have a very negative effect, is that even if you have a top performance woman getting promoted, there will always be this in the mind of some people, oh, she got promoted because of the quota. And that's not good for her neither. So I'm strongly against quotas. What we need to do is identify the women who have the right skills and competencies and help them go through the ladder.
And adidas?
Yeah, it's a big topic for everyone, and I think we sit in a slightly different position because we are a retailer. And from a gender diversity perspective, actually from a retail landscape, it's possibly a little bit easier to drive that kind of gender diversity. But I came from Amazon as well, and that's a topic that we were talking about years and years ago, and I don't think we're ever going to win that battle. It's something that organizations and especially multinationals are going to have to work on consistently. A couple of things that I'm super happy to kind of share about Adidas is specifically about kind of our flexible working culture. So if any of you guys have seen what our campus looks like at HQ, it's like a fun park. There's a kindergarten on site. There's parent-child offices, for example. We have flexible working hours, remote working. It's a very inclusive environment, and we take a lot of pride and a lot of effort in building up the women's network, for example. So I do a ton of work with the women's network, whether it be bringing speakers in from external or whether it be running women's mentoring circles. For us, we have some super strong female leaders within our organization. I was chatting to someone yesterday, actually, one of our vice presidents in football, Celine. She's done a wonderful job in really driving a little bit more diversity to that football business unit and giving the guys a run for their money. But like I said, we're never going to win that battle. Me as a recruiter, what I can do is I can provide really balanced shortlists. But I think you're quite right. I think it's the most important thing for us is providing that balance, but the best person will always gain the job. I'm completely with you on the quota thing, and I think it's a bit of a personal preference. But I've always been within organisations that are super open to having this conversation about diversity. And the more we talk about it, the better it will be.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree. I think it's it's a very hot topic for us. It's something that we've been discussing a lot, both internally and externally. And it's an industry thing. I spent quite a lot of my career before here working in the music industry, and they went through a very similar thing, kind of maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and quite effectively. And I see it coming into sport more and more. IMG, it's something we're taking very seriously. We've got a diversity lead within our business that sits within HR with us as well. She was in the US and she came to work with us about sort of six months or so ago. We set up an Empower group of employees, and they kind of help advise and guide as to what we should be doing and how we should be doing things. There's a mentorship program as well, and actually very recently, just within the UK, we set up a partnership with the Prince's Trust to see how we can kind of try and move that forward. But I think, as I say, I think it's great that the industry is talking about it. It's great that we're using this platform to talk about it as well. I think it's something, and I completely agree as well. I think it's something that should and be encouraged to kind of grow or organically through. And I think the kind of next generation of people coming to work in this industry, it's more of a hot topic, and it's more something that should just evolve within our industry. But the fact that we are sitting talking about it now is good and right.
Yeah, and actually a reason why there is this trend now is not just because it's fancy to be diverse, but it's because it works. Companies who are the most diverse companies are the best performing companies. So I would like to use this opportunity, to be with a lot of people that will graduate extra, to understand as well the tools you're using now to source actually talents. This is evolving a lot. It's less and less, like apply, advertise and apply. It's more, engage and retain. So do you see a change in the way you are looking for talent, in the way you are sourcing talent? And do you think this will continue to evolve? Maybe you, Tim.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I think, years and years ago, search was something that you did at very, very high end. And I think that's completely changed now. I think as a recruiter, you're not just doing search at the top end of the market, you're doing search across the board. And I think, it's a really, really obvious thing to say, but actually, and we were talking about this last night, naturally a bunch of recruiters sat in a room are going to be talking about it, but tools such as LinkedIn is something that we use all the time. And actually what I find more and more is I don't use LinkedIn to advertise, I use LinkedIn for its search capabilities. And that will be, maybe not a very, very kind of junior level, maybe entry level, but anything above that. And I think people are more savvy when they're in the market and they're potentially looking for a job or not looking for a job. They kind of know that recruiters will come and try and find them a bit more now. I don't know how you guys find it, but I definitely find that. So we still, of course, advertise. We still go through those kind of usual kind of channels, and that still works, of course. But I think there's that extra layer for recruiters now, which is actually don't sit there and rest on your laurels that the right person is going to apply for your job or even going to see it. You need to go and find them now. So that's, I think, the big change that I've found over the especially last couple of years, for sure.
Yeah, Reb, yeah.
I'll go. Yeah, I mean, my mindset has always been kind of go and hunt and search. I think if you are a great recruiter, you won't just sit and wait for people to apply, because in this market, actually, it's a candidate-led market. If I was to wait for applications for some of my wonderful jobs, I possibly wouldn't be finding the best talent in the market all the time. So right now, the majority of my time is spent going out, searching, engaging people, keeping people on my radar and understanding where they could fit within our organization. So I had a case study a couple of weeks ago that my colleague had hired somebody completely out of industry. FMCG. So he came from Tesco's in the UK and is now heading up the football footwear business. He's swapped washing powder for football boots, but unless we'd gone after him, he actually wouldn't be aware that opportunity was right for him. So right now, I mean, a lot of it is very LinkedIn focused and Zing focused, for example, as well. But actually at Adidas, especially in something that I am really proud to say, that when you join that organization, 60% of our roles tend to be given to internal people. There is a huge progression and career path. I think the quote they use is careers without borders. So actually, when you're joining Adidas, you're not just joining one role, one function. Actually, the idea behind it is we should know where your next 2-3 steps are. So does that take you to Shanghai? Does that take you to Portland? Does that take you to an entirely different function? We should be building long-term careers. So actually, a lot of my search is internal networking at the moment. Understanding who these people are in the markets, who's our top players, how do I get people moving around the globe and sharing those experiences? Especially when we're playing in kind of the bigger markets like North America and Greater China, for example. How do I make sure that I'm using the mindset and the skill set that we've built in Western Europe, for example, and moving that out into our bigger markets? So, I mean, it's a bit of a balance between what I do. It's a lot of internal focused search. So when you do join us, there's a lot of opportunity, but also that headhunting mentality. So LinkedIn and going proactively after people as well and engaging them. It may not be right for now, but it could be right 6, 7, 8 months' time down the line.
For FIBA, we've seen a change also. I mean, we had a big revolution at the end of 2013 where we created one FIBA, so we became one global organization, and that triggered several changes. I mean, I got recruited from FMCG, also got people from the bank industry, people from the luxury industry. So it opened our eyes really that we were looking more for, as I said, well-rounded managers than ex-athletes or ex-referees or ex-coaches only. We still need those people. I mean, in some departments like national federations or sport and competition, we will want to have people who have a basketball background because that's their core work and they need to understand the game. But for the other functions, we're really looking for talent across the spectrum. I've seen also a change, as you were saying, it's becoming now a candidate market. I mean, 3 years ago, we, even without putting an ad, we had a lot of spontaneous candidates. When we were putting an ad, we were overloaded with candidates. That's not the case anymore. I think the market has changed, and so as you say, we tried LinkedIn as a job post. Not working really. There are better platforms in several countries which are really specialized for that. But we do use LinkedIn also for specific jobs where we need really some specific skills. So we would do some sourcing on that platform. So I think even for federations, it's becoming very similar to the more business-oriented organizations.
All right. So if I can sum up a bit what you've been saying here is, of course, now sports industry is evolving and they need to compete with global brands and they are revolutionized by the Internet of Things, but ultimately the core competencies remain the same. Yet it's important that people that want to join the sports industry, they are very flexible-minded people who are able to work and to collaborate and to influence in very complex matrix and multicultural organization, and that they need to work hard on their online profile so that they can be seen basically by people like you, and it's more you who will go and choose people you want rather than just advertise and let people come. Anna, do you have questions from the audience?
Absolutely. We have some very interesting questions coming in. I have 4 for you, and I think we're doing okay with time, so I would like for you to address them. I'll be reading them as they came in. So first question would be related to the latest topic. What are the key things a student should include in their LinkedIn profile if headhunting through LinkedIn is such an important recruitment tool?
I'll start with that one. Keywords. It's the way we search. So I would put yourselves in the shoes of a recruiter. And what I would do is probably do some research when it comes to job descriptions that you like and the types of roles that you're looking to get into. We search via Boolean, so it's all going to be very keyword focused. So if you're looking at building out your LinkedIn platform and looking at building your profile and obviously giving us a little bit more detail, make sure your keywords are in there. because actually that's the only way I find you. As good as a profile may be, without those keywords, actually you don't become visible. So do your research on job descriptions, find out what the keywords are in terms of the industry and the types of roles that you want to do, and make sure they're included in your bios.
Thank you. And I think on that note, we have a second question. As a recent graduate, which advice could you give to deal with all of the work experience asked by the companies? What do you put in there?
Well, you can start as an intern. And that's a kind of golden way still in a company, because then we see you working for 3 to 6 months. And then if you're really good, you probably get an offer at the end of the internship. So we don't only want people with a lot of experience. We do get nowadays, especially with the master programs we have today, generally people had a first career and then they want to come back to their first passion in sport, and so they do this master degree. So we do have a lot of people with a lot of experience, but we do also have people straight from university, and they can start with an internship. It's a golden way.
Thank you. Our next question asks, what are your top tips to a new graduate during their first 100 days in a new job?
I think one of the key things, and I think this is a general thing actually, is obviously get your head down, work hard, understand what you're trying to do. But I think again it comes back a little bit to what we were discussing earlier around that kind of communication and relationship building. I think it's about not only about understanding the job that you're doing, but also understanding the people around you and what they do and how they do it and who they do it with and why they're doing it and why they're doing it in a certain way. So I think it's about building relationships, and I suppose it's networking. Absolutely, just network within that organisation. We brought on recently a couple of sort of sponsorship sales trainee kind of intern, and they're going very, very well. And the plan is to kind of grow and develop them, to kind of grow from within. And actually, one of the things that they're doing, and they're doing very, very, very well, is they've got a list of people within the organisation that they think they need to go and talk to, and so they've reached out to them and they're going to talk to them. Understand what they do and how they do it. So I'd really, really encourage that. And actually, most people will, if you ask them, will give you some time. So I think that's really important.
If I may add something, I mean, when we're following people joining companies and going through this onboarding program extra, but the companies, I realize that actually people usually care less about what you know than about what you care. And they are more interesting to know what you care than what you know, actually. So, yeah, be curious, talk to people, show them interest, and you will see it will be a lot faster to integrate, and they will, integrate you in what they are doing. And then there is a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, because people will like talking about themselves.
Sure. I would add also, especially for the people who had some experience and coming with lots of brilliant ideas, first build a reputation in the company. Understand what it's all about, build some experience, get some results under your belt, and then start challenging. But don't start challenging from day one. I've seen that. It doesn't work.
There is a Chinese saying that you cannot build a reputation on what you are going to do. And another thing that I think is very important is say thank you. Don't just do what you say or say what you will do, but be thankful. It's very, very useful to work with people from different culture and different functional background. Never forget to say thank you.
And I have one last one from our Twitter community. It seems to be quite a hot topic. The question is, don't you think that setting geographical boundaries will limit your choices? And kind of talking about the diversity and multicultural recruiting, how much are companies and federations willing to recruit non-European talents due to the work permit restrictions?
It's not our fault as the federation, the confederation.
I said companies and federations.
No, I mean it's a tough topic because we want to be very international. As I said, we have 32 nationalities in our headquarters in Switzerland, so we're trying to be as international as possible. But we have this, sorry to say, damn issue on work permit. I mean, it was already tough for non-Europeans in the past. Now with the new votation, as of July 1, it will become even difficult for the Europeans. So it's a pain in the neck that we have really, and it's not our fault. We're trying hard, and if you have at least a residency permit for other students and so on, it's helping. And as a sport federation, being in Canton de Vaud, we get a lot of support from the authorities, so that's helping. But sometimes, yes, sometimes we have to redirect. Well, we will not lose a good candidate. We would redirect him maybe to an office in the Americas or in Africa or in Asia, so that we don't lose him or her. But sometimes, yes, we are just stuck with the authorities.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. You know, and we do exactly the same thing, and I'm sure you guys do as well. You know, if there's a good person, we will try and make it work. But sometimes that's out of our hands. But, you know, as you say, you know, if someone is in Asia, we have offices in Asia. And that's not to say that they can't start working for us in Asia and over time, you know, intercompany transfer, something like that. But we do try, genuinely do try.
I think that's one thing that I, as a recruiter, am very honest and transparent about. Kind of see myself as a bit of an immigration expert as well for Adidas. So I've had these conversations, and I think the one thing that we can do as recruiters is have those honest and very transparent conversations with people like, hey, it may not work for this office, but how do we get you to another office? And I mean, from a senior level perspective, we don't find so much of an issue. I mean, it's taken us 5 months to get visas in Germany, so it's tough at the moment, but I think having that open, honest conversation, there will be opportunities in the future. It may not be right now, and you may have to go and work in a regional office. But actually, within organizations, there's so much rotation and there's so much happening from a global perspective. Actually, it doesn't necessarily matter whether you're working in HQ or you're working in a regional office, as long as you've got that opportunity to collaborate across the globe.
Thank you. Hopefully these are really helpful insights for our tweeters here.
Thank you very much. We are done actually, already half an hour. Thank you.
Thank you.